Hello and welcome. You're listening to Pure Light. You deserve to love yourself and love your life. If you aren't feeling it, it isn't a sign that there's something wrong with you. It just means you need to see things in a new light. My name is Eiley and this is episode 7. Today I'm going to be talking about trying to project an image. So if you have ever worried about what people were thinking about you and wanted them to think about you in a certain way, this episode is for you. I'm going to share a story from when I started working as a management consultant. So this was immediately after I finished university. It was really important to me for people to think that I was professional and responsible and all that kind of stuff. And so I wanted to look the part and act the part. I wanted to fit in and be liked and be respected, even though underneath it all, I was wondering, do I really have what it takes? And pretty early on in my career, it was on my second project, the manager that I was working for pulled me aside at one point. We had a conversation and he said to me, you're at a disadvantage here. Nobody is ever going to take you seriously because of what you look like. And I remember wondering how much of that was just based on my gender. But he specifically went on to say, you're very pale, you have, blonde hair. So people are just not going to be able to take you as seriously as some of the other people here. And my reaction to that was honestly what the fuck? But then it was also, I'm going to do whatever it takes to prove that I am professional and that I can hack it. I can, move up as quickly as possible. And it was around that same time or shortly thereafter, I read an article about hair and the impact that different kinds of hair had on how people are perceived as a professional. And what that article stated, it basically confirmed what my manager was saying, because the article said that the people with blonde hair and red hair are perceived as being less professional than people with brown hair or black hair. And it also said that people with curly hair or wavy hair are perceived as being less professional than people with straight hair. And it's kind of funny. I started straightening my hair when I was a teenager, and that was something that I did when I started working as well. And this kind of confirmed to me that I needed to do it to be professional. So it wasn't just about, I wanted it to be straight. It kind of became part of my professional identity. It became part of who I felt I had to be in order to be accepted and respected and look like I was a professional. My hair used to be curly. Now it's kind of wavy, but it depends on the day. But anyway, I straightened it for years. And it wasn't even necessarily that I wanted it to be straight, but I just felt like it would be easier. And I straightened it so much that most people that I worked with had no idea that my hair was in fact curly or wavy. And anyway, I didn't think about this much, but then on my last project, before I ended up going on a leave of absence, when I was talking to my clients, they were surprised that I had curly hair, which was not surprising to me because I knew that I'd been straightening it for years. And they encouraged me to go curly. They were like, you should wear it curly to the office. And I remember thinking initially oh my God, no. But then they kept telling me you should go curly because they wanted to see what my hair looked like. And at that point in time, I was terrified of the idea, but I was also willing to consider the possibility. And then once I decided I was going to take a leave of absence, I was like, you know what? I may as well try this and see what happens. And I had been living in a hotel for many months at that point in time. So this one morning that I had decided I was going to wear my hair curly to the office, I diffused it. I made it as curly as it could go because I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be all in. And then that morning, as I was leaving the hotel, I remember thinking oh my God, am I really going to do this? Because it was such a huge departure from how I had shown up at the office for many, many years. And anyway, that morning when I left the hotel, while I was wondering, am I really going to do this? This bellboy came up to me with his eyes wide and he was like, oh my God, your hair looks amazing. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I went into the office and the clients were like, oh my God. And my coworkers were also like, wow, I had no idea you had curly hair. And anyway, it was interesting because even though it was just about my hair at one level, at another level, it was so much bigger because I had attached my professional identity to me showing up with straight hair. And that was all because of this idea that I had many years earlier that straight hair was somehow more professional because of this magazine article that I had read. So this really wasn't about the hair. This was about me letting go of the self-imposed constraints that I had and the ideas that I had about who I needed to be successful in that environment. Because as soon as I let go of that constraint that I needed to show up with straight hair, I was able to just show up however I wanted to be. Something that was a bit unexpected for me when I showed up at the office with different hair was that it didn't just change my appearance, it also changed my energy. Like I felt way more expansive and like I was just free to be me. So here's the point in all of this. When you want people to think of you a certain way and you have ideas about what that's supposed to look like, you ultimately end up sacrificing your ability to choose how you show up. And most of the ideas that we have about how we're supposed to be are just ideas. They aren't necessarily the truth, but they're things that we kind of adopt and make part of ourselves without even really realizing it. It's like a layer of constraint or limitation that we take on that then ultimately defines us in a way. So here's something for you to think about for yourself. What image are you trying to project? What constraints have you adopted in order to do that? What does it feel like to have those constraints? And what would it feel like to let them go? There's a huge difference between doing something because you actually want to do it versus doing it because you feel like you have to. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, may you be guided by your light.